All right, this is one of the most important topics that I've ever come across and contemplated that helps me to alleviate my suffering just in general. How can I suffer less? How can I reach my potential? These are things that I've been obsessed with for a long time. And I first heard this concept from Dr. David Hawkins. Many of you know of him, and he's been a mentor of mine for many years, and I've read many of his books. And it was this concept of the animal versus the angel. Okay, my lips got a little stuck there, so I'm going to say it again. The animal versus the angel. Now, I'm probably going to reword this for the title, and I'll probably put the animal slash ego versus soul or something like that, because when I say animal versus angel, a lot of people start to say, is this religious? Are we talking religion here? No, we're not. So a lot of times, archetypically, angels are associated with religion. So we're just going to let that go, and we're going to just talk about it in a different way. And we're going to say, instead of angel, let's talk about the soul. Really, what I'm getting at here is there is a part of this experience, this controller, this is Universe the Game podcast. Part of this controller literally is an animal. This controller is an animal. It is designed to be an animal to keep you alive, while at the same time, there is a soul, an energy, an essence, whatever you want to call it, that comes in to this body. Some may say that it projects itself into this body. Some may say that it actually comes in and there's the energy is within the body somewhere, the seat of the soul, if you've ever heard that term. Okay, well, either way, there seems to be something that is extremely loving and something that wants to survive within the body. Well, if you understand that these two things are at odds, then it's very clear that, hey, we probably need to learn how to manage the animal if we're going to be able to reach our potential and actually do what we want to do. And first, one of the first things to understand is that the animal can actually generate thoughts and generate thought processes that you will. I don't know how you hear. Do you hear thoughts? Let me know down in the comments. Do you hear thoughts? Do they come in? Are they generated? Like, do you physically hear them? Or how does that happen for you? Just curious. But somehow the thoughts are generated. And, you have teachers such as Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, who say it's a subconscious mind, and Joseph Murphy as well. And so, if there is this subconscious mind, well, then that you could say is a part of the animal. So, it's literally meant to keep you alive. And there might be programs that are put in there before you're just contemplate this, that it's possible that there are programs in there before you are even born to keep you alive as a human. Just like, you would have programs for certain things if you were playing a character in a video game. Like a guidepost, you would have certain what do you even call it? It would tell you how to play the game a little bit and how to survive in the game. Usually when you're playing a video game, there's some way that it tells you to do this, to do that. Now, whether that is there or not, it's clear that there's a lot of animal things that are happening within the body, right? I mean, these are things that I've found, like, my body wants to watch people smash each other. The animal within me wants to watch people smash each other. It wants to watch people, because in 2022, a lot of times you can't physically do that. So it's like your body will play out the fantasy within watching other people. So that's a big thing to watch for with the animal. And one of the biggest reasons we're contemplating this is so that we can let go of these tendencies, because it's not really what we want. And so it's as though your animal does not, it actually sees the opposite of what the soul does. And how that could work is that the animal might see the love is useless, and the soul might see love as the most valuable. And so there's a clash there. So what happens? Well, there's a clash. That's probably what's happening in your life a lot of times. Sometimes you feel like love's valuable, sometimes you feel like it's not. Sometimes you feels like it's gone, sometimes it's there. But it's always present. It's as though the let's go back to Dr. Hawkins' work for a second. He used to talk about how you're basically from the level he has these levels of consciousness. You may have heard me talking about them before if you haven't. Basically, he used kinesiology muscle testing to calibrate all of the different emotional frequencies. And so he used to say that basically, I think it was 20 is where shame starts. From the lowest level to 199, your ego gets juice from positionalities. You can imagine that the animal gets juice from positionalities. Okay. So, well, if it gets juice from positionalities, then what happens when you get above that? Well, when you get up into 200, it's your energy source is no longer these positionalities. Your energy source is divinity. Like you've connected back to it to a certain degree. Not like you weren't connected before, but you made it to a certain threshold to where basically you sustain yourself on, you could call it divinity or love, whatever you prefer to again call it. So if that's the case, then to understand the animal soul dichotomy, it's like you've got to let go. You almost got to have the courage to let go of the animal tendencies of service to self, as a law of one philosophy would say, and stepping into courage and love or neutrality or these other emotion, these higher paradigms. And then when you actually let go of that positionality you'll move in and you'll actually have a higher energy source. But your ego doesn't know that because it doesn't understand divinity. And so it can't understand it. So it actually fears it. So if it can't understand it, it's not going to want to do it. Right? If it fears it, it's not going to want to do it. So that's why love, it might seem like your mind convinces you sometimes that love is useless because love is like the unknown. This is why you have people who I respect, people like the seek discomfort and yes theory guys like Thomas and Amar, where basically their whole MO is, hey, we're going to help you to seek discomfort. When you do, you're going to feel more alive than you ever felt. You're going to feel so good, feel so happy. Well, from a consciousness perspective, what's happening is that the unknown, like you're moving from the energy source of being fear and these other lower levels of emotion to courage. And then that literally becomes sustaining. And that's how you feel good. And from an energetic standpoint, from the animal versus ego juice, you could also say that I freaking lost my train of thought. You could also say that basically your mind moves into this space where it feels like it's going to die. It feels like it's over for the mind. But guess what? It's not. It's not over for the mind. But it thinks that it is. So it's going to want to do anything else but love. But ironically, when it feels love, it feels content. Isn't that weird? So in the right in the middle of this, we see that you have to let go of survival tendencies and like service to self hierarchy type things so that you can step into love. But the animal doesn't know that love is the solution. It doesn't get that love is a solution. It's not programmed to. That's almost like the whole game. That's the whole game of life. To see that the service to self, or you could just say the survival, it's not the answer. The answer is love. And the answer is unity through love, not through inversion. And so you can see this concept playing out in many different teachings. You can see it in the Law of One. And let's talk about more the animal and the soul. It's as though maybe the game of universe the game, right? Podcast, hello. That's what you're watching right now and listening to. So we better talk about it. Like you're moving from such as Buddhism, Dolores Cannon, Law of One all agree that you incarnate into lower life forms. And lower just means more animalistic. You actually start with like trees and rocks and these types of things. Those are like bodies, is what it says. And then you continue on into animals. And then you have insects and things in between there. But in the general premise, then you incarnate into human body, which is still an animal, but a higher, more advanced form that's capable of self-awareness. That's what separates us from animals. As far as I understand it, as far as all of my research shows, is that the separation from animals comes, at least the bodies, is that this is why Law of One calls it the third density. That's when you become aware of the choice. And the choice is literally the premise of today. What we're talking about today is the choice between the animal and the soul. We always have that choice. But the mind wants to continue, the animal mind wants to continue to choose to live out the fantasies of said animalistic type behaviors when it can't do it itself. And then you find yourself distracted on social media. Because literally, social media, it's so wild to contemplate. But the animal mind loves it. Oh, loves it. Absolutely loves it. But the soul is like, oh, I just don't feel connected. It's like this weird thing where you feel connected but disconnected at the same time. This is why the soul, a lot of times, will crave love as the answer. So, in essence of today's conversation, love is going to be difficult for your animal mind to understand. And it's not about being perfect. But if you know that there's an animal, you can actually name it something. That's what Dr. Hawkins used to say. You can name it. Like my animal mind's name is Ricky. And so Ricky here likes to watch UFC, likes to watch people beat each other up, uh, likes to have, wants to be the best, wants to do all these things that are incredible when it comes to being the biggest influencer ever. I don't even like that word. I actually hate that word, influencer, low key. Someone that I stayed with a couple weeks ago kept calling me that, and I was like, oh my God, I just hate that word. And now I'm saying it. And I know hate is a strong word. Hate is a strong word. But that word, eh. I just want to really make an impact. And I think that's another thing to think about. Like, I, mm, I, beyond the body, want to help others feel love, want to help others feel complete, happy, joyful, suffer less, reach your potential, whatever that might be. And then the ego animal mind will kind of twist that into saying, oh, well, I want to be the absolute best at it. Why do you want to be the best? So I can be better than everyone else. And so then you have to start to think, well, is there actually also a part? Is this next part the animal, or is this the intellectual higher mind? And we didn't even talk about the higher mind yet. Then you have the intellectual mind that might say, I want to be the best because when I'm the best version of myself, then I can help the most people. And that's different. That's very different from saying, I want to be the best just so I can be better than everyone else. So you have to be able to discern between those, because you're getting juice from two different places. Because the one where you want to be better than everyone else, that's pride. But the one where you want to be just the best you can be, that's willingness. Drinking raspberry tea, if you're wondering. But in essence, your mind is designed to keep you alive. We aren't trying to get rid of it completely because it's helpful in some ways, but we just need to change the programming that it takes consistent realization and awareness that, I am not this. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am beyond it. And I actually have a soul mind that's even beyond the mind. You could say the mind by itself, in plain context, is a subconscious mind that's a part of the body. The body and the mind are together. I have a soul mind that exists beyond, but I can let go of these tendencies, and they're not me. And there's going to be a part of your animal mind that starts crying when you do things like this. Like, seriously, it will start throwing a fit. Sucks. You're never going to do it. You're never going to make it. He's terrible. Oh, why can't I do this? I just want to do this. I just want to eat this. I just want to do that. I just want to go do these things. But, it's just going to give you 10 quadrillion reasons why you should not listen to the thing that you feel like is the most loving, and you should listen to it. You should listen to it and eat the things and watch the things and do the short-term pleasures. It doesn't understand long-term gain. All it sees is short-term. And you see some of the greatest minds from our society, not only minds, but people that changed the world, oftentimes had to let go completely of short-term pleasure for long-term pleasure and more like satisfaction. So the animal is going to consistently, and you have whole categories of people online who are dedicated to this topic. Biohacking, a lot of times, is dedicated to this topic. Dopamine, these things. They're really into the chemicals. But you can keep it as simple as to say that if you just start disciplining your animal mind, your Ricky, my Ricky, and say, you know what, we're not doing this. No, 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 we're not doing this. This is what we're doing. Love you, but this is what we're doing. And you consistently do that, and then you feel good afterward. It's not like you have to feel bad while you're doing it. It's like like you're talking to your pet. You start to see the animal as a pet. Hey, love you, but we're not doing this. We're not doing this right now. And this is what we're gonna do. And then you do it and you feel great. And you consciously, when you start doing this, you're gonna have to tell yourself, oh, I feel great. We did it. I feel much better now that I did it. Much better. Like, for example, you eat specific food that you know is healthy for you, but your mind is like, oh, but I want it. I just want takeout though. I just want takeout though. Oh, it'd be so freaking good, dude. You choose a thing that you know that deep down is really going to benefit you. And you actually self-talk yourself into a good job. Like, you don't seek approval of anyone else. That's what a lot of times for my men from the masculine, we will forget to do. And we just don't do that. I don't know if you struggle with that. Maybe if you're a man or you know men. You never say, okay, great. Nice job, dude, to yourself. Great. Great. Amazing. You're amazing. Awesome stuff. I'm really glad that you did that. That was a really good choice. Let's do it again. How good did that feel? Like, we're afraid to express any sort of emotions. But it doesn't have to be like that. And, I'm in a season right now where I'm learning that balance myself. And I have learned it. I think I'm coming into the end of that season or that lesson, because I've been a constant lesson for me where I'm balancing the masculine and the feminine within. And that's a whole nother video. So I might actually do another podcast with the masculine versus feminine balance. Look for that. Let me know if you liked this solo podcast about the masculine versus feminine. If you're watching on YouTube and you just found this video, you're watching the universe, or if you just found this video from anywhere else, from my Instagram or from the talk or whatever, wherever you found this, you're listening and watching Universe Game. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I do solo episodes every once in a while. I feel like people really like when I do these. And because everyone also always comments they like the solo episodes, but let me know. I haven't done one in months. So let me know if you like this episode and I'll do more. If you have specific topics you want me to get into when it comes to awakening, consciousness, self-realization, self-development, these kind of things that I'm interested in, let me know and I'll do them. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next episode. And until then, peace.